Hey, Nikki Brown here. No matter where you are and no matter what part of the world you're in, I hope that you're having a good day. I want to tell you this: you are special, and you have been special since birth, right? And don't let anybody tell you anything different. You have to know that so that you can start operating in a different way. You can achieve anything that you really want to achieve. You just have to change your mindset, right? I noticed, especially from north to south, there are more people in the South who were raised in a two-parent household, who had parents who taught them how to invest and to buy property. So many people in the South, their first investment was a home, right? And a lot of them got a home maybe in their 20s or 30s. Because again, they had this guidance from their parents. A lot of other people have a poverty mindset, and many people live paycheck to paycheck. And this is not based on nationality. It is an American mindset, right? So many people, because they're in a lower income bracket, basically all of their resources go toward their basic living expenses, and then they want to have fun, right? So they may want to go to the movies or buy a pizza, you know, buy alcohol. If they do drugs, they do that. Um, Maybe save enough for transportation to get to and from work, whether it be an Uber, a bus, a train, or putting gas in their car. And then that's it. Um, they want the government to supplement uh, their income with food stamps or Section 8. Again, this is a poverty mindset. Um, and it's not easy to get out of a poverty mindset. It's very challenging to get out of a poverty mindset. And I know this from experience. Um, I remember I know somebody I know, right? I was traveling through and I stopped at their house and I actually spent the night. And at the time their lights were off. And this was a couple, right? And this person held onto a grudge because I didn't pay their light bill when I was passing through. First of all, they said the next day they were going to go to social services to get the lights turned back on. So they already had a solution. So the thought never even crossed my mind. Plus, as a single woman, I have my own responsibilities to pay for it. So I wasn't in a position to pay their light bill, and I'm not really sure where they came up with that idea. But again, this is a poverty mindset, thinking that someone should always give to you or do for you if you don't have. That's an unrealistic expectation to put on anybody. Nobody's obligated to do anything for you. But again, the government has planted this seed in people's heads. So this is how a lot of people think, and this is the expectation people think, right? But the second part to that is you have a whole man. And for me, if I'm with a man and he's not out there doing what he needs to do to provide, he couldn't be my man. So that didn't make sense to me at all. Um, this person also said that Dr. Sebi should give out his herbs for free. Who in the world? What? That doesn't even make logical sense. So, people have to actually go out into the woods and pick these flowers and herbs and bring them back. They're not doing that for free. So, he has to pay people to get the sources. Then they have to be, you know, processed, placed into packaging, and shipped out. Do you think he could really even afford to do that for free? Again, doesn't make logical sense. And Rest in Power, he has since transitioned because this was before he transitioned. But again, this is a very unrealistic mindset. It's a poverty and lack mindset. that somebody should always give you something for free, right? Like I said, you're special. You've been special since birth, and you can achieve anything that you want to achieve. You just have to acknowledge the fact that your thoughts need to change. This is just like the viral video that's going around with the lady who told her son not to get a job because it would mess up her Section 8. She doesn't know any better. She feels like she's protecting her son and protecting herself. She feels that the only way to survive and thrive in this life is to get the government to pay for things. She is in a poverty mindset. Through no fault of her own, the system has conditioned and programmed people to think this way. They want the majority of people to think this way, that they need food stamps and Section 8 and other government assistance in order to live a good life. She is doing what she feels that she needs to do to protect her son, because that's what she thinks that, you know, holding on to government assistance is protecting and providing so that he doesn't have to struggle and the government can just help him out and pay for the things that he needs. And in the meantime, he does not have a lack in poverty mindset because he's like, no, I need to get out here and get it on my own. I'm a man. And again, a lot of single mothers don't realize the mindset of a male child is very different from a female child. So again, he's in that at that age, and his age was never stated, but I'm gonna assume that he's at least 18. So, let's say he's between 18 and 22 years old. Probably not 22, but I would say more like 18, 19. Um, he's like, no, all of my friends have jobs and they're doing well. They're able to do the things that they want. They're able to get the things that they want. Why should I just wait for someone to give me Section 8 when I can go out here and make more money and have my own place? But she's afraid, right? This is fear. She's operating out of fear. She's not thinking with logic, she's thinking with emotion. And again, through no fault of her own, she just wants what she thinks is best for her child. And she thinks that getting assistance is the answer. One thing that we can do is, again, shift our mindset, change our thoughts, because our thoughts become the things in our life, right? We can create multiple sources of income. That income could be employment, right? That income could be a business. Because again, one of the things that I notice in the South is most people have what they call a side hustle, right? But again, that hustle could be they're employed, they have some type of business, and they're investing in something. Then you also have people who have a spouse or at least someone that they live with, whether it be a roommate or an actual spouse. This is actually another source of income if that person is employed or has their own source of it, maybe investments or in a business. People find a partner and they build something together. People with a poverty mindset don't know anything about building. They think you're just supposed to split the bills 50-50, and that's the answer. That's not the answer, right? Again, this can be employment, some type of business, and investments, right? I don't care if you work at McDonald's. How much is McDonald's stock? Buy a share of McDonald's stock. Buy a share of McDonald's stock once a month until you have 10 shares, until you have 100 shares. If you buy Nikes, invest in Nike stock. If you shop at Walmart, invest in Walmart stock. Now Walmarts are closing, so maybe you don't want to invest in Walmart. But if you shop on Amazon all the time, invest in Amazon stock. Don't be afraid to invest, right? See how much one share is. If one share is $100, $200, $30, $50, every company is different. Invest in it. You can also invest in stocks through the Cash App. And I think you only need to do it with as little as $5, and you can invest in any of the companies that are on the stock exchange, if I'm not mistaken, for $5. Now, are you going to get a huge return by investing $5? No. But call Fidelity Investments, open you up an IRA, an individual retirement account. If you have $500, again, invest in something. Find you a few stocks, mutual funds, diversify your portfolio, and you can talk to them about that when you call. Maybe invest in some mutual funds, see if you can invest in commodity, and some stocks. That's diversifying your portfolio when you invest in multiple types of investments within that industry. Um, if you can invest in your favorite spring water company, whatever it is, invest in something. That would be one source of income. Again, you can start some type of business. You can sell hair, you can sell loose cigarettes, you can sell nips of alcohol at games or events. I don't know. Start somewhere. Um, but change the poverty mindset. And I know a lot of people aren't giving us this information. A lot of people aren't telling us this, that we have a poverty. And with me saying this, there's going to be somebody who doesn't understand and they're going to get mad due to their lack of understanding, and they're going to flip it around and try to change it to something else. And this is gaslighting. It doesn't make sense. Many people have a poverty mindset, and this was intentionally planted in our minds. A lot of times, people from other countries, they come here, and because they weren't born and raised here, they have a different focus, a different mindset. They don't really know anybody here, so they just hit the ground running. But the same thing would be true if, as an American, we moved to another country. We could go there and hit the ground running, even if you move to another state. Because I was watching a video the other day, and some Africans made the comment, "Oh, if I was in America, I would be a millionaire," right? But they don't understand the reality of that once if they were to ever come to the United States. Again, if someone were to go, because they were Nigerian, if someone were to go to Nigeria from America, they could say the same thing, right? And Tanya TKO, she went off. Her father was born, I think, in Nigeria, and then her mom was from another country. I can't remember. Or maybe her mom was American. But in any event, she's like half Nigerian and half, was it Ghanaian? I don't remember. But she was born in America. So she understands all too well because she's been to Nigeria. She's lived here all her life. And she's like, how dare you? How dare you? And this is part of people's problem. People are so quick to judge and criticize others. I had one of my friends try to judge me. Multiple friends try to judge me. A lot of times people will try to judge you and belittle you, but they won't take into consideration the efforts that you've made, right? The efforts that I've made to start a business, the efforts that I've made. I've come a long way, and I acknowledge that, right? I moved out of the city that I was born and raised in because a lot of people in that city have a poverty mindset. And that's not why I moved at the time. But now, in hindsight, looking back, what my thought was, I would rather move to a suburban city where my son can go to school for free, as opposed to staying in the city where when I walk outside, he has to see drug dealers standing on the corner, and then he starts to repeat this behavior. So I would rather move somewhere where he can go to public school for free. And yes, I'll pay more for rent, but it'll be a better environment for him. I didn't realize at that time that was me separating myself from that poverty mindset, right? It had nothing to do with thinking that I'm better than anybody. But that's what a lot of people will accuse you of because they don't have the courage to do the same thing. They're okay with paying for Catholic school and still living in the hood. And again, there's nothing wrong with that because many people did that. But then once they were doing better for themselves, they moved out. And a lot of people say, oh, you're leaving your hood and you should be investing in your hood and da 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 da. And yes, that is true. But some people don't want help. They want help from the government. They want free assistance. And if you sit there and get, you can help people, but if you give everything that you've earned and worked for free, you would then be back in that same situation, needing help. And a lot of times, people who gain wealth, instead of investing it in a business and in stocks or something that will bring them a return, they just spend it because this is the part of the lack mindset. As soon as you get some money, you spend it, right? And again, if you were born and raised that way, it's challenging to change that mindset. The people who were not born that way are the ones who are typically doing well. Even if they had a parent who was, the biggest drug dealer in the city, their parents still had a business, right? So that mindset is of that child was still different because they saw their parent move in a different way. It wasn't just go to work and, live paycheck to paycheck. It was have a business and accumulate wealth. Totally different mindset. And it's not just the people who were raised in a two-parent household, because some people who were raised in a single parent household were given some of those same values. But it's far and few in between. So if you want to see a different result, you have to do something different. And stop being afraid. Stop living in fear. And stop being envious and jealous of other people when you have the opportunity to do the same exact thing that they do or they have. It is not about age. Forget about your age and how old you are. I'm 50, if you're only 50 years old, you still have potentially another 25, 30, even another 50 years or more ahead of you. So, what do you want that to look like? Because living from paycheck to paycheck is very stressful. Because if something happens, now you have to rob Peter to pay Paul because you're right there at the brink. You're just one paycheck away from potentially losing everything. If you get sick, if you lose your job, what do? You're back to trying to rely on the government to take care of you. That's not good. Again, this is a poverty mindset. And if you have to do it temporarily, yes, fine. But it should only be a stepping stone and not something that you rely on for the rest of your life. So if you want to take that into consideration, do. And if you don't, please don't get mad at me. I'm just the messenger. A lot of people, a lot of times, are shooting the messenger, especially when the messenger doesn't look the way they think the messenger should. It's so silly. You're only hurting yourself. You're not hurting that person. The person doesn't care if you get mad. That means you were triggered. That means there's something that that person is saying that you know is true that you don't want to accept. That's what that means. It doesn't mean the person is wrong. It just means that you are not willing to accept it right now. And a lot of times when I drop jewels and I tell people stuff, they don't get it in that moment. Sometimes it takes days, sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes years. But what I notice is either change behavior, that person will inbox me and say, oh, you were right. And it's not even about me being right. They may just say thank you. Or you'll see change behavior. Did I say that already? Either they'll say something, the behavior will change, They'll tell me, or I'll run into them. All right. And then they'll tell me. Like I might run into somebody somewhere and they say, "Oh, I remember you said so and so and so and so." And a lot of times I don't even remember. But I've been this person who, you know, shares good information for years because to me, holding on to it is selfish. So if I know something that I can share, I share it. But a lot of times people are unappreciative. So I have to be, a lot of times instead of saying it to the person directly, I'll just get on YouTube and I start and I'll share it because I know that somebody's going to appreciate it. Whereas that person who knows me is like, oh, who do you think you are? Why are you telling me this? Oh, you're wrong. Da, da, da. And then they usually later regret it because you don't treat people that way. It's just because, again, they don't have what you think that they should have. Or because you somehow feel like you're better or you have more. So this person just doesn't know what they're talking about. It's disrespectful. And it's unrighteous. And these are some of the same people who will talk about, you know, I won't get into that. But I hope that this information was helpful. Again, if you're employed, invest in something. Invest in yourself, invest in a business, invest in stock market, commodities, mutual funds. Buy some savings bonds for your children and hold on to them until they're, 18 so that they don't have to have the same struggles that you have. Anyway, love y'all.